Hello everybody, welcome to my new kind of series called Mini Album Tips. So my idea behind this series is to kind of break down and simplify all the steps that go into making a mini album. So today's video is going to be on how to wrap an album. So this is actually the easy wrap method. All right, so for tools to wrap our album covers with, you're going to need some wet glues or whatever kind of glue you prefer to use. This is the Dries Clear in this smaller bottle here. So it is the Art Glitter Glue Dries Clear. I just like it in the smaller bottle. And then this is my Fabri-Tac, or you can use Beacon 3-in-1. This is the one that I like to use, so I have a little bit of extra wiggle room. Then you're also going to need a bone folder and then some lightweight cardstock. So this is a 65-pound cardstock. I buy mine at Michael's, my 65-pound. And then you're also going to need some chipboard. This is medium weight chipboard. So in my example here, we're going to be making a 6.5 by 6.5 inch album with a 2.5 inch spine. But I'm going to kind of tell you how you can adjust that to make larger or smaller albums as we go, okay? So for instance, here I'm using a 6.5 by 6.5 piece of chipboard for my covers. So I'm going to wrap it in a piece of my cardstock that is 8.5 by 8.5. You just go 2 inches up. So I need this to have 1 inch on all 4 sides, which means I need 2 inches more than the size of my chipboard. So I hope that makes sense. And then for my spine, it's 2.5 by 6.5. So my piece is 4.5 by 8.5. Okay, so this is for the easy wrap method. Okay, so I'm just wanting 2 extra inches than the size of my chipboard. If my chipboard was, say, 8 by 8, I would use a piece of cardstock that's 10 by 10. Okay, so that's just kind of how I break that down. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of my cardstock and a piece of my chipboard. So again, my cardstock is 8.5 by 8.5. My chipboard is 6.5 by 6.5. And I am going to take my glue and I am going to put glue all over the back of my chipboard. And again, for this step, you can use tape. You can use whatever type of adhesive you're comfortable working with. Like I said, I like this because I have some wiggle room and I can move it around. Okay, so I'm going to let that one dry and then we're going to grab the other one. So again, the chipboard is 6.5 by 6.5 and my cardstock is 8.5 by 8.5. And that is just going to go right there in the middle, leaving 1 inch on all 4 sides. Just kind of wiggle that. All right, and then for my spine, so 2.5 by 6.5, and my cardstock is 4.5 by 8.5. I'm going to do the same thing, just apply glue to the back of it. At this point, it doesn't really matter. There isn't really a back or front, so whichever side, and just place it down, leaving 1 inch of space on all 4 sides, just like this. And then we'll let that one dry, and then we'll go back to the first one that we did. So what we need to do is fold our cardstock over the chipboard, okay? So you can pick it up and kind of use your table and kind of train it over like this, and then press it down with your fingers first to kind of gently break those fibers so we don't get any actual breakage. And then you can go with the bone folder. So same thing here. Fingers first. And then the same thing with this side here. Just be gentle so your cardstock doesn't break. And that's another reason we use lighter weight cardstock, because heavier weight cardstock can't sustain the bending over the chipboard, so it will break. I'll just kind of slowly train it in and burnish. Okay. So now from our folding, we have these little squares in all four corners of our cardstock. So I'm going to grab a scissor and I'm going to cut across, leaving about a 1/16 of an inch from the edge of my chipboard to where my cardstock is. Okay, so I'm going to cut it and then I'll show you guys. So it's a very small amount, just about a 1/16 of an inch. That's how much I'm leaving. So that goes for all four corners. Cut across. And this, leaving that 1/16 of an inch, will make it so that the corners are fully covered. If we didn't leave that, if we cut right up to the chipboard, a tiny bit of that black chipboard would be exposed in the corner, okay? So the next thing we need to do now is take our glue. I'm going to use the art glitter glue for this step. And what I like to do is I like to run a bead of glue right up against my chipboard so that it kind of softens that cardstock underneath, and also is another way to prevent our cardstock breaking. And then just all over the flap here. And then I like to bring that up and I like to go with my fingers first to evenly distribute my glue so it doesn't just squish out everywhere. And then go with the bone folder. And then I like to pick it up and I like to use the edge of my bone folder and run it along the edge of that cardstock, and so that it gives it that really nice square look. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. I kind of like to go the opposite side that I just did. And then all over the cardstock. Bring it up. Fingers first. Then you can go with your bone folder. And then with your bone folder for that edge. Then this side here. Just make sure you get it along the chipboard. Bring it up. Then go with the bone folder. And then run that bone folder along the edge, and you can see that really nice, sharp, clean edge we're getting there. And then the final one here. Bring it up with your fingers first. Then with the bone folder. And then just get that nice edge with the bone folder. So that is our first piece of wrapped chipboard. So the second one is going to be the same thing. So we fold down like this first. Use your table. Then burnish with your fingers. Then with the bone folder. And then, like I said, I kind of just like to go to the opposite side of where I just was. Bring it over. Then this side here. then with the bone folder, and then this side. All right, and now we can cut across those edges, or those corners, just leaving that 1/16 of an inch so that our corners are nicely covered. Just like this. This one could actually probably be even a little bit closer. All right, so now our glue along the chipboard. Bring it over top. Like I said, fingers first to just evenly distribute that glue. Then you can go with the bone folder, and then with the bone folder along the edge of your chipboard. Same thing on this side. Got some squished out there, but that's okay. Then with the bone folder, and then the bone folder along that edge. And then all in here. Just like this. And then the final one. So get your glue in there along the edge. Such an important step for me to get that glue along the edge of the chipboard, because it really helps to prevent breakage. And then squared off. So we have our two wrapped front and back covers. Now I'm going to bring in my spine piece, okay? So we're going to do this differently than how we wrapped our covers. So what I'm going to do first is on this longer side, I'm going to bring in these edges. I'm going to fold it over and go with my fingers first, then with the bone folder. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the bone folder over so it drops off the edge of my chipboard. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, bring it over so it drops off the edge, and I'm going to really burnish it in along my chipboard. So it's already kind of pre-done before we even add our glue. So now we'll add the glue again right along that chipboard, and then all over in this top rectangle. And then I'm going to put a little bit, about 3/4 of an inch down on the sides. Bring it down. So I'm going to press it down with my fingers first. Then I'll go with the bone folder. Just like this. And so you see how that's like molded to the sides of the chipboard. So same thing here, bring it up, fold it over top of the chipboard, burnish with your fingers first, then with the bone folder, let it kind of drop off the side there. Same thing on this side, pre-burnish it, and then we'll grab our glue, put it all over in this section along the chipboard here, and about 3/4 of an inch down the side there. Bring it over, press with your fingers first, then we can reinforce everything with our bone folder, just like this. Okay, so now what we need to do is from where this indentation here ends down to where our paper folds over, we need to cut that off, okay? So it should be like this. On this side, it's easier for me to cut upwards, but I'm still just cutting to where that indentation ends. Same thing here, and same thing here. All right, now you can use your table and fold it over to begin with. Then with the bone folder, same thing on this side, you can use your table, fold it over. All right, so your piece should look like this. So now all we need to do is put some glue on this flap here and align it with one of our 6.5 by 6.5 inch flaps on the edge there. So I'm getting my glue on here. I'm using the arc glitter glue for this step. And I'm going to lay it down and align it so that it's aligned on both sides here and that they are right directly aligned with each other along this edge. So kind of give it a burnish here before you lift it up so it has a second to take. Then as you're lifting, kind of hold that flap down and then go in and burnish it from the inside. So now that is that nice clean edge that you'll get. So that's this side. So then for the other side, we just do the same thing. Fold this edge over. We'll add our glue. To this whole section. Align it to the other flap. So just make sure they're aligned side to side and that these are just perfectly aligned with each other at the top. And then you can burnish from this edge first before we lift it up. And then as you're lifting, have your hand on that flap. And then we'll burnish from the inside. All right, so that is our cute little album cover done. If you do have any glue coming out, it will dry clear, obviously depending on what kind of glue you use, but if you're using the dries clear, it'll dry clear. But look at that beautiful clean edge. All right, so now we need to create our little strips that are gonna hide the raw edge of our chipboard here in the book. So I have 2 pieces of my craft cardstock that measure 1 by 6.5. And I'm going to put it in here and I'm just going to score it at 1/2 inch. Just like this. And just like this. So I have 2 of these. So 1 by 6.5. If you don't want to use the scoreboard, you can just fold these in half on the 1 inch side, okay? So now I'm going to fold on that score line and burnish it. Just like this. Then I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to snip diagonally from the edge here, not into that score line at all, just right at the edge, down like this. And then the same thing on this side. And then we'll fold the other one here. Burnish it. and then snip and snip. Okay, now these two are going to get glued right along that raw chipboard here. So I'm going to start in this direction, and I'm going to put glue on one of my 1/2-inch sections here, just one. And then you can put a little bit of glue along the chipboard here as well, even on your cardstock. And that is going to lay on top here, and it's going to go right along the chipboard, and it's going to go from top to bottom, so you can give that a quick burnish. Then I'm going to put my glue on this one, the other 1/2-inch section that's now facing upwards, and I'm going to fold that over top, or fold it down, however you want to think about it. Make sure you really burnish these edges here, and then you can go with the bone folder into that crease, not the top of it, like not the sharp top, but this edge here, and really just give that a really nice crease. And then you can lift it up and give that a nice crease. And then the other one is going to be the same thing. So add your glue on your one of your 1/2-inch sections. Then you can put some right along the chipboard here. Lay it down right along the chipboard, and it should fit all the way top and bottom. It should be the full 6.5-inch length, and you can burnish that quickly. And then add your glue to this section here and lay that down. And you can just smooth it all out with your fingers first. Then you can burnish it with the bone folder. And then you can put the bone folder in that crease and just kind of bring it up. Okay, so that is basically, well, not basically, that is a fully wrapped, ready to use mini album base cover. All right, so that is going to be the end for today. So next time I'm going to show you guys how to do the kind of older style method, I guess, with the one long piece of paper instead of using 3 separate pieces of paper. Okay, so I really hope this helped you with one way to wrap an album. This is my personal favorite, but the other one has its pluses as well. So we'll do that one in the next. So in the next installment in this series, I will show you guys how to do the older style of wrapping an album, which is just one large piece of paper that you kind of tape together, and then you use it all at once and wrap all your chipboard pieces into that one piece of paper. So that's going to be on the next mini album tips video.